Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Admin's View. I'm Christy Hewitt.
And I'm Michael.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are here to talk about the 12 Principles of Network Economy, written by Kevin Kelly in 1995. So what did you guys think about the article?
I thought it was really amazing, actually. I like the fact that I liked his vision and what he thinks that technology is going to bring in the future and how everything's going to play a part into it.
I think it was it was very moving. It really explains what will happen in the future with our network environment, and he sums it up into 12 really good principles, and I think he does a great job at it.
Well, Krista, what were your favorite laws, actually? I'm curious.
Mine were actually 1 through 4.
1 to 4?
Yeah.
That's great. It's funny because my favorite laws were from 9 to 12. What about you, Chris?
Mine's is 5 to 8.
Oh,
Wow.
amazing.
Well, I
It
guess
worked
we
out
have our
perfectly.
order today.
Wow, exactly. That works out. Well, Krista, tell me about it. Tell me about the first 4 laws and what you thought about it.
Okay, well, the first law was law of connection, and she talks a lot about the jelly beans, and what that is it's the computer chips. And basically, everybody knows that everything in technology is getting smaller and smaller as we go on, and cheaper, and that has to do with computer chips as well. So the main thing of the law of connection is that you have computer chips, and you can stick them in almost everything now because of how small they are and how cheap they are. And about 10 years ago, we wouldn't think that, they'd have computer chips on all the doors or in some buildings. And you can go into hotel rooms and see blinking lights on the doors of computer chips.
Yeah, 10 years ago, my cell phone was the size of a brick.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you see?
Yeah.
And now it's just this tiny little bitty thing, right?
Exactly. Soon enough, we won't be able to see our cell phones no more.
Exactly. Just like the computer chips,
Exactly.
right? So that was her main thing, is that the computer chips basically can be hidden in anything. And pretty soon we'll be seeing computer chips in manufactured items like soup cans and tennis shoes and hammers, and you'd wonder why, but
Yeah.
exactly, right? You wonder why, but it can happen. And the thing about the computer chips also is that it makes it where non-stationary items can be connected wirelessly through like infrared and radio. So really, through all these computer chips, we're being interconnected in a huge web.
Oh, that's okay.
So that was her main point. And also, another main point of the law of connection was the dumb power, which, you think, that sounds a little weird, right?
That sounds pretty dumb.
Right. So she talked a lot about that. And basically what that is you connect a bunch of dumb nodes. And dumb nodes are things that wouldn't really have any meaning without them being connected together. And that's like the computer chips. Like you set a computer chip down, it doesn't really do much, but when you put it in something, it's smart, so to say.
Okay.
Has a brain or whatever. So basically placing all these little bits of thoughts into everything we make is making us a connected world. So that was her main thing for that. And her motto was embrace the dumb world.
So embrace the dumb world with these dumb nodes.
Exactly. Preach, right?
Exactly.
Dumb. So the second law was the law of plenitude. And this law is about the number of members increasing the value of the network or the technology. So as each member gets added, it not only increases by 1, it increases exponentially, and it keeps going and going and going. And this has been proven for mathematicians, because as network increases, it's the square of the number of members that increases.
That sounds like a business course I took a while back. Statistics? Yeah, back when I was at the University of Houston.
Yeah, go Cougs.
I took that like 10 years ago.
Go Cougs.
Yeah.
Man, stats.
Exponentially.
Good times.
Wow.
Good times. I know, big words, right? Well, this also has to do with fax machines. You guys know fax machines when they first started.
Oh yeah.
They weren't that popular. In 1965, they actually came out.
Wow, that's a long time ago. We still use them actually,
Exactly.
so it's a pretty good product.
So when it first came out, there was just one, and nobody knew what it was. Nobody really cared. But as they made more and more and more, people wanted them more. So that's basically what the law is saying, that you make more of something, people are going to want it more and more and more. And this goes against 2 modern phrases in our society, which our value comes from scarcity, like with diamonds and gold. And when things are plentiful, they become devalued.
Yeah, it's very interesting how it worked out.
So when I read that, I was kind of like, yeah, this doesn't make much sense. But the thing is, with network economy, that Kevin Kelly was saying, is that it's the opposite of the market economy.
Gotcha. So are you saying that the more fax machines out there, the more valuable it becomes.
Yes, exactly. The more of something, the more value. So more the motto for this was more gives more,
More gives
Yeah.
more is better.
which doesn't make much sense if you think about it in a market sense.
Yeah, it doesn't at all, but
Yeah, but if in the network economy, Kevin Kelly was saying that's plentiful.
I think Kevin hit it right on the spot because if you think about that everybody nowadays kids they play that app Angry Birds.
Yes,
Yeah.
Angry Birds.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
those kids.
The more and more they have, I mean, I guess it's just getting more popular, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the more that they use it. Exactly. Now there's
Exactly.
hats and shirts,
I
right?
know, and the more levels there are, the more people
So
want to
hello.
play.
Exactly. And the third law I went through is the law of exponential value, which this ties a lot in with the previous law. But she gave a lot of examples of successful companies, like Microsoft. It started off with nothing. It wasn't popular, nobody really knew what it was. But once it got popular, it went. It didn't just slowly, steadily grow, it just went up there. So instead of having like a linear growth, it's exponential and just keeps going and going and going.
Okay.
And that had to do with FedEx as well, and the fax machines, as I brought up earlier, and the internet. These curves are nonlinear, and that's the main thing about this law. The network economy can be described in a lot of ways with the biology terms, excuse me. And
You're excused.
yes, wow, yeah, this law, yeah, I just love this law so much. It just chokes me up,
I know, I definitely know. These laws are amazing, actually. I read it
Yeah.
like 100 times already. It's very interesting.
Right?
That's it, Mike.
I know, just 100 times,
I got
actually.
150.
Well, that's a
Wow,
lot.
you
Pass
win.
you.
You
Yes.
Chris won
Hands
on
down.
that one. Yes.
Hands down.
Wow. So yeah, basically this law is a lot to do with the second one. I basically said everything is that the value explodes as the members and the numbers grow. And
It almost seems like all these laws they somehow tied together.
Yeah.
To form one big, what's the word I'm looking for, Mike?
network.
One big network. That's why it's called the 12 principle of
I
network.
think we figured it
Wow.
out.
Exactly.
Look at us. Wow.
Wow.
Kelly will be proud of us.
Really, I
Yes.
know. Whew, we need to give him a call after this.
Hey, Kelly.
So the fourth one, I'm just going to skip over this one because we basically know it. The law of tipping points. So I kind of went into this as well earlier with Microsoft and everything, that companies reach a point where they just take off and there's nothing you can do. Like you can't necessarily ignore it. For example, cell phones. Like when it first came out in like I don't know when they first came out, 80s or 90s,
Right.
they were huge like you said, and not everybody had one. But nowadays, I don't even know what I would do without my cell phone. And I see little bitty kids with cell phones. I mean, everybody's got a cell
So
phone
actually,
nowadays.
it's attached to their ear. Sometimes, I think
Exactly.
they're talking to me, but they're not. It's
Exactly.
kind of
That's the
embarrassing.
most awkward thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of a tipping point. It gets so popular. There's a point where nobody else can, say, no, I'm not going to get this technology. No, I'm not going to do this. You eventually just have to.
Yeah, it basically what you're trying to say is, goes from a luxury to a necessity.
Necessity almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes life easier. So it seems like it'd be more of a luxury or whatever, and not something that you need.
Right.
But it turns into that because of the tipping point. And basically the biology in this is that it's kind of like a disease that spreads and spreads and spreads, and it's infectious and contagious, and eventually it turns into a raging epidemic worldwide. That's how they described it in the biology terms, and it ties in with that. They also describe an example with the lily leaf in biology, which I don't know if you guys know what that is. Anybody? Yeah, well let me tell you.
Please.
Question
I have no clue.
So ding ding, I got you. It doubles in size every day. So it'll start out like, an eighth of the pond is covered with lily leaves, then a fourth, then a half, then it's all covered. And by the time that people really recognize it, it's already reached its tipping point. So if you want to get rid of the lily leaf, it's too late. It's already spreading way too fast, and it's spreading too fast for anybody to do anything about it. It's like a disease, biology.
Oh
yes.
yeah, it's like gaining weight. Once you find out, sorry, too late. You've
Yeah,
already
it's
gained
like,
like 20
oh, now I'm
pounds.
just going to keep gaining weight, right?
Exactly. That's like the tipping point for me.
Why are we talking about lilies? Nick? I'm just kidding.
Wow,
I don't think
Chris-
Kevin would
Chris
be.
didn't listen to me at all.
I'm just kidding. I was zoned out, audience. I'm sorry.
I think you just got excited about maybe opportunity to meet Kevin.
Maybe.
I think that's the thing.
Maybe.
So the motto for this one is that significance precedes momentum. And that is all that I have for the first 4 laws.
Oh, that's amazing. I did learn a lot. Actually, it's very interesting. What about you, Chris? What did you tell us about the laws that you like?
Hey, all right, that's fine. Let's start with number 5, the law of increasing returns. And basically, what that is to sum it up, companies, the value of a company explodes with memberships. So basically, just like YouTube, the more people sign up for it, the more they can actually get in return, from revenues by advertising. Because nowadays, third parties and just to even get an ad up there costs you probably what, $1,000,
Oh, yeah.
somewhere around there. But it's the more, basically the more subscribers you have, the better, the more value your company is. Just take for example Henry Ford. He was able to successfully leverage his business of selling cars, and how he did that was making his cars cheap, through the assembly line. And what did that do? The car's cheap, more customers buy it. So basically what you do is you have ties back to what Krista said, exponentially a growth of customer base that just continues to climb. And now Ford is up there,
Oh, yeah.
one of the biggest automakers out there in the U.S. So especially Ford F-150s.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
of
trucks.
course.
That's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At home.
If you wow.
Yeah, I know.
Look at
I've been
you.
paying 250. Well, definitely, yeah, he definitely did his work.
Dang,
Yeah.
Krista.
Big spender over here.
Big spender.
Wow.
When are we going fishing?
Oh yeah, we're going tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah, so a lot of key players, what it boils down to is, a lot of companies, you want to introduce your products out first. Henry Ford introduced the assembly line first, so he gained a first mover advantage. It's kind of risky at the same time, but that nowadays you got to think risk for high returns.
Very
So
true.
basically, that's basically what increasing return means for the law. So let's go to number 6, which is the law of inverse pricing. Do you guys want to take a stab at what that means, or?
I have no
Inverse
clue.
pricing.
Actually, I have no clue at all. What do you think, Krista?
Inverse pricing. Well, I know that when you inverse a number,
I don't.
don't you put it at 1 over the number?
Yeah.
Have
yeah.
finance exam coming up, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of into math right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully do really well.
So I'm thinking inverse pricing is 1 over the price.
You're right. Basically, inverse.
Oh.
Hey, semi.
Okay.
So what inverse pricing is back then when people was pay more for maybe like a cell phone, to say for example, the more quality you get with a cell phone, the more you have to pay. But nowadays with inverse pricing, with the low cost of memory chips and computer chips, we're able to put so much more, and the cost goes down. It's the opposite now. Just like with Dell and Intel and all the computer manufacturers, they're able to give out a desktop PC for what, $300 now, which it used to cost what, $1,000, $2,000, and for $300 now you're getting a lot more than what you did for $1,000. So I mean, basically it's just getting customers are demanding more quality at a cheaper price. So companies need to adapt to this and be able to commit to these, and if they don't, then hey, they're gonna be out of business.
It's amazing because computers used to be so expensive, like you were saying, and now it's like everybody can own one.
Yeah, I remember having a computer with one of those little balls instead of optical lasers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Back
Oh
in the
my
days.
gosh, yeah.
3.5 floppy
Or
disk.
freaking dial-up connect.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my gosh, that was a nightmare, right?
Exactly. People pick up the phone, you get disconnected from
Yeah.
the internet. Back in the good old days.
Yes,
AOL.
AOL.
Exactly.
Hey Mike. Oh man, you just disconnected me. What do you want? So yeah, inverse pricing, consumers are expecting more for a lower price, and companies need to meet these demands by research and development through new technology, and if they can't keep up, then I don't think they can hang with companies like Apple and Dell, which are innovators in technology.
Very true.
Yep. So the next one is the law of generosity. So basically, what this means is, companies need to be willing to be generous with their products. You can't, let's say I develop a product and I named it Christopher's app. I can't charge, well, I want to charge customers for it,
Yeah.
but if I charge $2, and no one knows about it, no one's gonna buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of companies are doing now is they're offering it for free, so they have a big, customer base that signs up for it, just like Angry Bird. So when you get these big customer base, the value of your company or app or program, whatever you're developing, expands because, it has a lot more value now. People know what it is and people are using it because you offered it for free because you were generous.
Mm-hmm.
So but what the companies are trying to do now is they don't plan on making the money by the app, but they plan on making it through, advertising, marketing the Angry Birds logo,
Everywhere.
and just doing the miscellaneous add-ons. Just like Microsoft, what they did was, I'm not sure if you guys knew, but back 20 years ago, probably before you guys were born, browsers used to be, they weren't free.
Yeah.
They weren't free?
They weren't.
They cost money to use?
They cost money to use. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean
did not know
now
that.
we have Internet Explorer now, but it used to cost money.
Yeah.
Netscape was a big one. You guys remember
That,
Netscape?
yes, I use
Netscape.
Netscape.
Yeah,
Because I remember getting these free ones, not recently, but being like, wow, this is free? What's going on? This is
Hey,
weird.
Hey, can I have your disc?
I remember that. I remember the good second
Yeah.
mail telling you and you wanted as many discs as possible.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
free.
you used to have to pay for it. It's not much, $20, but you used to have to pay for browsers.
Mm-hmm.
So what Microsoft did was they leveraged the generosity. They started including Internet Explorer into Windows XP, Windows 2000, Windows ME, and what did that do? Everybody uses Internet Explorer now because they're so accustomed to it because it was generous. They offered it out. Now they have a big base of customers and, any kind of add-on, they can charge for any kind of update. So Microsoft did a real smart strategy. It's I think Internet Explorer is like the most used browser out there, or is it?
It's probably one of the more popular ones. I think
Firefox?
Firefox is kind of climbing up there with Google Chrome as
Well, I mean,
merged as
think of
well.
it this way. Do you think Firefox would be up there next to Internet Explorer if they charged?
Oh,
Of
no.
course not.
Definitely not. I wouldn't use it. No.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like my stuff for free.
Of course.
I like my stuff for free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the law of generosity. The company's worth is by giving products for free and then charging for add-ons later. That's a secret, guys. Microsoft might come back at me or something like that. But anyways, the last law is law of allegiance, and basically, I'm gonna just ask one question: are you Windows or Mac? What are you?
Mac.
I'm
I use a Mac.
Windows.
Mac and Windows. Okay. So yeah, what it is would you ever buy anything other than Apple?
Of course not. I'm attached to it. Everything's connected to it. Why else would I need to go elsewhere?
Well, would you ever switch to a Mac?
I don't think so because I don't have that money. Like Mr. F-150, F-250 over here.
Yeah, so nowadays customers are so people are so into I'm gonna get an Apple iPhone, I'm gonna get an Apple iPad, I'm gonna get an Apple TV, I'm gonna get an Apple everything. They're stuck with one brand, and the reason why they do this is it's not because Apple's the greatest, but that's a separate discussion. We can sidebar later. But what companies are doing is they're leveraging their network. Why do people go to Apple? Because its network is reliable. It's all synchronized. And it's marketed towards certain people. So I mean, companies need to move away. Well, what they're doing is they're focusing on, instead of maximizing the firm's value, it's trying to maximize the firm's infrastructure. Because that's basically what it boils down to. Try to increase the backbone, the foundation of the company.
Very nice.
Interesting.
Very informative, sir.
Right. Great.
You guys really studied your laws.
Well, now I'm here. I'm ready to hear 9 through
Yeah.
12.
Oh,
Woo!
9 to 12.
Whoa.
9 to 12 is actually pretty exciting. I like it a lot actually because I'm glad you guys brought up business because it's essentially what's regarding. Kelly actually believes with the way the network economy is working is big businesses like Apple and Windows they're gonna have to work for it. Essentially, what they're talking about are businesses that are at their peak. You know, they have a monopoly or they're leaders in their respected fields. And what the way network economy is going is there's so many businesses going up and down right now. So you know, even though you're at the top, someone can easily come in and take a part of your share. So essentially, what's going to be happening is like you got to always be on the ball. Once you rise up, now you're in the unknown. Now to the very top, you have a market. You don't know how long you're going to be there. The next day, the company come in and take all your shares, and you end up going back down. So you have to learn how to adapt. Actually, I'm trying to think of a good example, but we'll just say Company B. Company B is climbing the mountain. He's doing well. He's selling his products really well. He hits his peak. That's great. Well, now you travel to unknown. Even though he's selling his product really well, how long is he going to be up there? The Company C can easily come in, display a better product, and of course, Plan B is going downhill. So you want to be able to adapt. You want to climb up. And even though you have a market, it's really hard to walk away from such a monopoly like that. You want to take a trek down the mountain and work your way back up. I think it's really great because it gives the little guy help. So I mean, years from now, Apple and Windows are really big, but they might not be there anymore. Of course, Jobs.
Android.
Yeah. Apple thought they had something good going. Of course, Android's slowly coming up. Apple's trying really hard to hold on to people with their apps, stuff like that. Of course, I can speak from experience. The apps aren't working for me no more. I'm really in love with Android, so you can see, they had to be innovative. They had to be able to.
You picked
Yeah.
Android over Apple?
Exactly. I know. I'm such a hypocrite. Actually, so they're at essentially Apple's at their peak right now, and what they need to do is start climbing down, start thinking new innovative ways to create things.
That's kind of like what happened with BlackBerry, because a couple years ago everybody was BlackBerry this, and where are they now?
Exactly. They weren't innovative. They're at the peak and they're holding on to their market. And now Android is slowly creeping up there. What they needed to do was be able to climb down that mountain from the peak and be able to walk away from that success and think of some more innovative ways to climb back up. So in a nutshell, that's what the law of de-evolution is. Even though you're at the top, you want to take a step backwards and adapt to your surroundings and be aware of your competitors because you'll never know how long you'll be there.
Exactly, especially with technology because everything's changing all the
Changes.
time. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're going to go nowhere.
Exactly. So I thought that was very very interesting. And the next law actually is the law of displacement. Basically, as Crystal you were saying about chips, we're moving towards that direction where we're putting chips in everything, cars, planes, you name it. It's kind of scary in a sense, but we're moving to that point where we're putting chips are small as viruses now. You can put them anywhere, and chips are essential to our daily lives. What the example they're using was putting chips in cars. When cars came out, they were I'm trying to explain. Of course, how cars run and things like that. But slowly, as technology increases, the very basis of the car is disappearing. We're replacing everything with chips. Eventually, in the future, we're going to rely completely on information. So, nowadays we might, we'll have to get in our car and drive from point A to point B. Well, with chips, putting chips in everything, we might not even have to do that anymore. Everything's going to be.
Yeah. I heard that on the radio, 104 KRBE. They actually, believe it or not, they mentioned that in 5 years, they estimate that we won't have to drive our cars no more.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because, didn't they come out with that, what was Lexus or Toyota parallel parking?
Exactly. I'm not ready to let,
a machine drive
parallel
me,
park my
yeah.
car, but it's going there, and essentially, today we start with chips, planes, things like that. Essentially, we're to go further than that. We'll go into the road systems, and traffic's gonna be direct from us. All we have to do is get in our car, sit there, and go from point A to point B, and not have to worry about it. So basically, the law of displacement talks about the chips and how we're putting it into different things that we use every day, like our cars, and essentially the information is going to be guiding us everywhere we go. And then the next law is the law of churn. I thought it was very interesting. I was like, the law of churn, I don't
The
understand.
best name so far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the law of churn. What's the best way to explain this? Let's see. Well, basically what the law of churn is, it's also related towards business. I don't know if you noticed, but in Austin, you know, business is booming. Employees, people are still hiring, things like that. Also, another interesting that you don't know is actually the longevity of business don't last that long. Usually, you know, give it like 20 years or so, a business can go out of business just like that. And it might sound bad for the economy, but it's actually a good thing, because what is happening is you want to control chaos. You don't want to have like the 6 or 7 stores open up in Austin and they'd be there forever, you know? You want to be able to have a competitive advantage, and what essentially is happening, and you know, stores are shutting down, but at the same time, new businesses are rising, which leads to new work for everyone. So you know, you always want a constant disequilibrium. I'm sorry, because disruption's innovation. You always want to welcome it. Just because you have a business been there for 10 or 20 years, it's great and all, but you want to be able to have a business come enter the market, and you want some controlled chaos, because that can lead to, of course, more work for everyone else in the future. So even though businesses are going down in Austin, of course, you know,
It's good for the workforce.
exactly, it's good for the workforce. You know, you're not going down, 2 businesses come up, there's more work. So that's the good part. And the last law is actually regarding inefficiencies. This is one of my favorite because I can definitely relate to it. Nowadays with new technology, you think productivity would be much easier. You know, when we start using computers, you think that things would be more productive.
I have to disagree with that. I have a 5-year-old son who always takes his iPad and is always watching movies instead of doing homework. What do you say to that, Mike?
You're right. We're taking a step backwards, but ideally, with the computer, you're supposed to increase your efficiency and be more productive. Which ideally, that's what people think, you know. But what it seems to be happening is we're not taking advantage of technology. It seems like we get new technology and, you know, being productive to people, just working harder, working longer. But essentially this last law is, you need to stop thinking inside the box, think outside the box. There are a lot of people out there that think that if you put in an honest day's work, you're working 9 to 5 job, that's being productive. Well, you know, being productive is not doing the right thing, you know, doing what needs to be done, but thinking outside the box, thinking, what way can I do this better? You know, I mean, you look at a lot of groups or people like, you know, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, you know, which one started in the garage, you know. I'm sure everyone looked at them and said, wow, that's very unproductive, you know, taking a step backwards. I mean, but most of the productive things actually came out of a garage. And what we need to do is we need to step away from just, you know, robots can be productive. Essentially, that's what it is, you know. Let robots be productive because that's their job. Do the same thing over and over and over. That's, you know, we need to take a step back from that and, you know, think outside the box. Think a little more creative. You know, what do you guys think?
Well, instead of thinking outside the box, what if there was no box?
Exactly.
There we
was
go.
no box.
There's no box, and it's actually that's what the last law is inefficiencies, that we have this ideology about being productive. And of course, that's not the way you want to look at it. You want to be able to think outside the box instead of just, you know, going through the paper. You want to find the best way to get from A to B instead of just go from A to B a straight line. So that's
Very nice.
essentially what it is. Mine didn't sound as great as yours, but
No, it sounded amazing.
like,
The only
good.
thing I'm upset about right now is that it's over.
oh, I know, it's definitely
Yeah.
unfortunate.
No 13?
Unfortunately, there's no 13, but we do have a works cited. If you guys are interested, feel free to click on the link. We do have slides at the very bottom, so feel free to click there, and we will be back next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining the view.
The
or the
admin's
admin's
view.
view.
You know, please like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/4478MIS. If you have a Twitter, follow us. And other than that, it's been a pleasure being with you guys. And I'm Chris.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Krista.
And cut.